all trees are not created equal. It's kind of a strange thing to say, don't you think? It probably seems painfully obvious to you, but frankly, it was something I gave very little thought to until recently, and now this has become a pivotal part of my life. So how did I get here? Wondering about the importance of some trees over others, and why should you care? Way back in 2002, while luxuriating in the bliss of Los Angeles traffic, I happened to be listening to an interview with Princeton professor and climatologist Michael Oppenheimer. This guy freaked me out. As a lifelong nature lover and contributor to numerous environmental organizations, I thought myself to be somewhat well informed. Wrong. In less than a half an hour, Professor Oppenheimer shattered my reality. He spoke of how many climate-related extinctions had already taken place in that decade alone. He detailed vast animal, fish, and even plant migrations away from the equator. He painted a future that, quite frankly, scared me. What I couldn't understand was, after donating to environmental organizations for years, why did I have no idea just how devastating the plight of life on planet Earth actually was? I'm the type of person that when I learn of something that reeks of injustice, I must act. Not to do so creates an unbelievable panic inside of me, so I founded an environmentally based nonprofit organization, which I named Planet Rehab, in the hopes of providing a mouthpiece to those that didn't have a say in our modern world. For 17 years, we labored diligently in Southern California to create every type of experience we could conceive of to light a spark in others so they wouldn't just care enough to listen, but to actually be part of the solution. We even turned our backyard into an animal sanctuary where we cared for 350 animals. Yeah, you heard correctly. Over 350 animals lived in our backyard. This included a grumpy alpaca named Benjamin, his best friend, Buddy the goat, Alan, a 300-pound cantankerous sulcata tortoise, 37 species of birds, which meant peacocks and roosters singing in the middle of the night, and several other species. Oh, and of course, anything that well-meaning visitors happen to find, such as orphaned baby birds or orphaned baby possums, that required around-the-clock care. As part of our outreach, we hosted beach cleanups and Earth Day events, butterfly encounters, and plant-based food festivals, original echo musicals, and milkweed planting expeditions. Thousands of children and adults came through our gates. But as time went on, the health of our planet went from really bad to horrific. When the Intergovernmental Panel on Biodiversity Loss came out with their 2019 report detailing that in addition to the 200 species that were already going extinct every single day, an additional 1 million species were facing imminent extinction, we asked why. We learned that over a third of the planet's species lived in rainforests, and their extinction was directly tied to rainforest destruction. Again, we asked why. For paper? For construction? For highways? I was genuinely shocked to find out that 91% of Central American and Amazon rainforest deforestation was due to the cattle industry. My husband Carlo and I felt it was time for a change. We came to the conclusion that we had done as much as we could from our San Dimas abode, and we decided to move to a location where we could work directly with boots on the ground to protect precious rainforests and endangered species. Through a series of Kismet-inspired events, we ended up moving to a beautiful 30-acre jungle paradise on the banks of Dolphin Bay in Bocas del Toro, Panama, which, along with being home to monkeys, sloths, toucans, parrots, and more, was actually an organic chocolate farm and nature preserve. Well, I didn't know anything about growing chocolate. I mean, I just figured there was probably a Hershey Kiss tree somewhere and you have to decide if you want to pick the red or the green one. Well, the first thing that I learned about chocolate, or cacao as it's called, was that it has to live under a thriving rainforest. Score one for the environmentalists. I also learned that people would travel from all over the world to tour the gardens and the grounds of Green Acres. And since we moved here in October of 2019, we've had the privilege of hosting hundreds of tours that we have reframed as eco-educational tours. Another score for the Enviro guys. Shortly after having moved to Green Acres, we learned that our jungle happened to be home to some very rare trees called Almendro trees. Rare because their termite-proof dense wood was coveted by the construction industry. Until rather recently, Almendro trees, because they were so tough, they were left alone. They were just too hard to chop down. But now, thanks to modern improved chainsaws, Almendro trees that were once safe have been destroyed almost to extinction levels. We arrived at Green Acres in October, and by November, these 150-year-old Almendro trees started dropping their almendros, or South American almonds. To our surprise, in the next several months, these almendros started growing into saplings, and before we knew it, we were blessed with hundreds of almendro saplings. Well, since we knew that this tree was already extinct in numerous islands here in Bocas, we thought we'd take a little deeper look to find out if this tree might be a good candidate for reforestation projects. Well, sometimes things just click. Call it fate, call it destiny, but what we learned was that the Almendro tree was quite possibly the most important tree in the Central and South American rainforests. After researching, we found that a single Almendro tree can host more than 1,000 organisms, can live for hundreds of years, and can grow 150 feet tall, making it a top-tier rainforest tree. Whoa. Like I said, sometimes things just click. Further research revealed that 16 species of mammals, 19 species of bees, and over 100 species of birds depend on the Almendro tree. One of our Planet Rehab team members made us aware of a documentary on Amazon called Almendro, the Tree of Life, where we gleaned that this also happened to be the only tree that the critically endangered great green macaw will nest in. Today, at a time when the very systems that support life on this planet are shutting down, rainforest destruction is at an all-time high. Last year, over 91 million acres of rainforest were destroyed, and this year, rainforest destruction projections are much higher. What of the mother sloth and her baby when the chainsaw starts to cut, or the nest of baby birds as the tree starts to fall? What is our responsibility to nature? Sadly, we haven't been doing a very good job of protecting her. In my lifetime, in the last 4 decades, humans have wiped out 68% of wildlife on the planet. 68%. What will the next 4 decades bring? I get that not everyone can sell their home and dedicate their life to protecting nature, but we can all do something. We must all do something. The alternative is unthinkable, and that alternative is swiftly becoming a reality. So we will continue to work to protect nature. We will plant the king of all trees, the Almendro tree, to provide shelter, food, and home to countless species. That is what we will do. What will you do?